everyone, my name is Palma Accardi and you are watching Tidal Flooding Talk. We are brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition and filmed live every Sunday night here at the Irish Pub in Atlantic City.
I'm meteorologist Dan Skeldon. No football, no problem on this Sunday night. You got Jonathan Carr, JC, the man, the myth, the legend himself from Weather and Jay. He is our guest and wearing his trademarked Kaboom shirt. Don't know if we're going to need that next weekend, but we're going to talk about that. Jonathan, great to have you here. Appreciate you coming.
Thanks for joining us, Jonathan.
Absolutely.
And of course, you can always, we've tried a few times. We both just had baby girls, and sometimes you're not get in the way, but they complicate our lives, and we try.
More important.
Yeah, they are absolutely. It's babies, then Tidal Flooding Talk, but it's great to have you here on our third attempt to get you here, and you can forward questions or comments to Jonathan about anything, weather-wise or otherwise, over the next 25 or 30 minutes.
And before we get started, the New Jersey Coastal Coalition would like to remind our viewers that salt marshes and streams are nature's way of protecting us from flooding, protecting these floodplains by slowing your boat speed, reducing fertilizer use, and minimizing hardscaping for improved water permeation.
All right, as always, your first-time guest especially, anyone who follows Jonathan needs no introduction, but for the few of you in New Jersey that don't, JC, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So the first thing I tell anybody is that meteorology is not my primary career. My career is in computer science and information systems. I really did fill up most of my electives with earth science, astronomy, several courses where we did study the atmosphere. So I sucked that up as much as I could. Yes, my career is in computer science. I'm actually a software developer for extended reality. My whole meteorological hobby is basically a monetized hobby. I don't consider myself a professional meteorologist. I don't have a degree. Out of respect to the community. I prefer weather enthusiasts.
But you have the following and really the trust that a lot of meteorologists would kill for us because as a meteorologist, we've had meteorologists on Palmer before, being accurate and being respected and being trusted sometimes takes a lifetime to build up. And there's one thing you have through Weather and Jay, your Facebook page. How did that get started?
I think the biggest culprit is being able to break down the complex atmospheric processes into phrases that people can understand. And I think
I agree with that.
That's the main reason why. And at the end of it, I do my analysis articles, and at the very end, I have a little section called in English. It takes the prior paragraphs of complex discussion, and it almost teaches, not only informs people about safety awareness, and then forecast kind of just naturally comes with that. So people tend to dig it up. They follow me. I feel like I have more of a one-to-many connection because I usually through layman's terms. I see some of the best meteorologists out there. Their knowledge is so scholarly. But at the end of the day, everybody is subject to the natural order of chaos that occurs beyond that 7 to 10 day. Absolutely. Bottom line, I break it down into layman's terms so more people can understand. That's why I think more people should.
Now, when did you realize you had an interest in weather forecasting?
Very young. I did grow up in Manahawkin, closer to the border, and we just a few hurricanes. Gloria was a close scrape.
85.
Gloria was a close scrape, and I think that really started gaining my interest. I really started paying attention at that point. And all you can really do is turn on the channel and follow people like Jim Cantor. He's been a long-time role model in all of this. It's wild to have a private conversation with him. It really is. Chatting with like one of my buddies, he's actually responding. So that's one of the coolest things.
Awesome. And of course, back then, you mentioned, we turned on the Weather Channel as a 9-year-old kid. Gloria had, I was 9, you were probably like 6 or 7. Not to give away your age, but and we've had so many storms since then. Now people turn on the TV. I think the broadcast meteorologist will always be there, but now you have your social meteorologists, per se, weather enthusiasts, weather forecasters. How do you think that's changed how people get their information?
Well, I think people have become more aware in computer models. There's sites out there like tropicaltidbits.com, AccuWeather Models, Weather Bell. There's a few sources now that the public can go right to the horse's mouth and obtain the information being displayed by the models. And having the public connected with that is a dangerous thing. You know how it is. People interpret these computer models as gospel, when they really should be interpreted as guidance. These computers are factoring in so many different variables and outputting so many different versions that you can't really take it and say that's what's going to happen. So over time, you start to learn what's wrong with these models. And being in the computer side of things, I think that sort of helps me algorithmically.
Okay.
If you remember the old European model before they replaced it, they had a natural bias to hold energy back and amplify the energy. You could actually play that. Real verification will actually occur a little bit to the southeast of that solution. The GFS had the same problem. It had a southeast bias. And you could actually play that. So from a computer algorithmic point of view, there is that level, or maybe you want to call it modelology. Most meteorologists will follow it. There's enough computer data there to really draw some conclusions, I think. And that's been a big part of my forecasting.
Jonathan, sorry to interrupt. A couple of our viewers are saying they're having a little bit of a hard time hearing.
Oh, sure.
Speak up, just speak up a little bit.
I don't know if it's the microphone or
No
what.
problem.
And there is background noise here too. We are in a public setting. We are in a neighborhood bar, the Irish Pub in Atlantic City. Have you ever been to the pub before today?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep, I've been here a few times.
Okay. I'm going to ask one of Palmer's questions sometimes, and I think you already alluded to it a little bit. I think social media helps us spread the word about tidal flooding, about storms, about accumulations. There's so many pros to it. What are the cons? There are, I think, plenty of cons that go along with, social media being a great spreader of information, but it can spread misinformation too. So talk a little bit about what you see are the cons in, Facebook and Twitter and the way people get their weather today.
As I said before, the public is now connected to the horse's mouth of computer model data, and you have other social media organizations that have started, and sometimes they can share something that may look dangerous. It may look like a big snowstorm, a big hurricane, or something like that, way in the long range. They can post that slide and then get the public to panic. I see a lot of that. I see more of that than I do see responsible discussion. So I think that's one of the main cons of social media is irresponsible information aggregation.
And a follow-up question to that: how much of your time do you spend? Do you take the philosophy, all right, I'm going to spend a lot of my time dispelling all this bad information, and hey, ignore this post. Hey, this is wrong. Or are you going to put more of your efforts into just getting what you feel is the responsible, right information out there?
I'll spend most energy getting the right stuff out there, but I'll allude to some other things. I might say in my discussion, okay, I know you've seen some sites that are saying this looks like a blizzard next week. Let's use this next weekend coming up as an example. There's some sites who are screaming Super Bowl blizzard, right?
Yep.
And there's a
Groundhog Day blizzard too. It'd be a multiple faceted.
It's very high stakes, so it's a high stakes environment. You have Super Bowl plans, you have school the next day, so very high stakes in the form of how many people are impacted. So it's a target for people to hype it up and say blizzard. On the other hand, you have people saying nothing's happened this winter so far, and nothing's going to happen the rest of the winter. Sort of applying the past to the future. So you should never let emotions get involved. I tell everybody, just take a deep breath. Okay, we've had the strong synoptic storm signals showing for 4 days now, from day 11 down to day 7. these models have basically had some sort of ocean low off our coast, close to that 40 north, 70 west benchmark. That's all I'm looking for right now is consistency. And for the last 4 days, it's been on there. I'm still waiting for it to drop off. Now, I won't start looking at snow maps until Wednesday, probably, and aggregating an actual surface forecast. The surface, you know how it is. It comes into alignment after the upper levels figure out what they're going to do first. That's what guides out.
So how do you find the balance then, not to overrate something, but then again, when there is a storm that's going to be severe, how do you translate that information?
I tend to focus on safety awareness aggregation. Okay? From this range 7 days out, you shouldn't be running to the store and buying your eggs, milk, and bread. Right? You should just have it in the back of your head that this may be disruptive. Maybe I want to get to the store this week by Tuesday or Wednesday, instead of waiting until Thursday or Friday. Just have somewhat of a plan in your mind in the long range. And I think the more I speak to like the safety awareness in that aspect, make sure your generator's filled up, it kind of naturally addresses it to the severity that it should. Once you get closer to the event, if it looks more probable, then you should start speaking more aggressively to the safety aspects. Check on your elderlies, don't leave your pets outside, stuff like that. Just needs to be repeated, and the closer you get to the more high stakes of an event, the more it ramps up.
Do you find, obviously the number one question that everyone asks, probably you and me both when you're thinking about a forecast, how much snow? How much in my backyard? That's absolutely number one. There's nothing more popular than when you issue a snow map, right? Since the topic of the show is tidal flooding talk, how much question, concern, when you have, let's say, a nor'easter coming up the coast, do you get from your viewers and listeners and followers? Like, hey, am I going to flood? Hey, obviously, if you're on the mainland, you're not worried about that. You're worried about snow or ice or wind. Coastal residents concerned about flooding. How much feedback do you get from, from concerned viewers about flooding and, tidal flooding and storm surge and flood advisories and coastal flood warnings?
A decent amount, because I started from Ocean County. And it's mainly considered southeast New Jersey. Same with here, Atlantic City. I mean, this is flood central whenever you have a nor'easter. It's anywhere near the benchmark. The 2016 January blizzard was a good example. When everybody was concerned about snow in the I-95 corridor, Old May was breaking flooding records. Whenever you have a Miller A low like this, or a low that's ejecting off of the Outer Banks area, the Marva area, you have to consider the easterly wind component on the northern side of that low. If that low is strong enough, sub 990, maybe even sub 980, like some of the guidance for next weekend, you have to consider the storm surge values. Now, as far as how much impact, it depends what time of year. This time of year, very seasonal. There's not a lot of people at the shore compared to if this was Labor Day weekend and there was a hurricane bearing down. So, population density of southeast New Jersey matters a lot. What time of year? Most nor'easters in the winter, it's really only affecting the locals who are there year round.
Now, I was going to ask something else, but now you've piqued my interest. What is the forecast? And it sounds like there's a storm coming.
Yeah. What do you think? I guess. Obviously you're not going to put out specifics. What are you thinking? Timing and the range of possibilities right now for next weekend.
Well, I've mostly been looking at ensemble guidance, right? The GEF ensembles, the European ensembles. It's you have your operational run, and then the supercomputer, in the case of the European, does 51 different runs with slightly different starting conditions.
And then you take an average.
You take an average mean of that. So that's really the best way to forecast with models from this range. And all I've been looking for is that the signal stays there, and it has. Since last Thursday, right up until the latest model that the 18Z GFS just ran, there is a storm there in some shape or form. Now, the surface is a little warm. There's another low coming in from the Great Lakes, which might bring a little bit of warm sector into the surface, and that's why I think some of the models are displaying a marginal surface environment. But you look at the upper levels, and it's freezing from 850 millibars and up. 5,000 feet and up, it's plenty cold. Precipitation will mix that in convectively with the cold air aloft, and the surface kind of just takes care of itself. I have people saying, my phone app says it's going to be 45 degrees, it's not going to snow. My phone app is hooked up to 1 model running every 6 hours, surface out the door.
And that's a challenge too. Phone model, something we talked about here. So many people rely on their phones. Oh, it's going to be raining at 3 o'clock today. You know, when I can't tell you that, and you can't say that. You can say, hey, an afternoon shower or thunderstorm, but people do rely on their phone models a little too much in this current day and age.
In stable conditions, it's okay, right? If it's sunny the whole weekend, and you know, whether it's going to be 83 or 87 doesn't really matter, right? You know, it's within that ballpark. So there's no reason to not use those in general. But when there's high stakes environments, you really need that human analysis part of it to properly forecast.
With the phone apps and everything, like the one that just comes on your phone automatically, I guess they like are convincing because of the percentage it sets. Like it's like, oh, there's an 82% chance it's going to rain. So it makes you think, oh, it knows.
Yeah.
And it gives the hour too. People love it, but you're right. I think there's no replacement for the human forecaster. And I don't think there ever will be. Computers are getting better and better, but I don't think there ever will be. And you're right though about, you know, the signal being there. Because like one model shows rain for next weekend, one model shows nothing, but it's out to sea, but it's close. Others show rain and snow, but the signal is there. And we haven't had much to be excited about this winter. Not in New Jersey with snow.
We had sort of a tease start at the end of November,
yes,
beginning of December, and there's that low from down to then. But yeah, on the models, all I've been looking for really at 500, I've been looking for a trough over the east and a ridge over the west just to support the favorability of it within that pattern. I've been looking at surface pressure means and averages just to see that there is that cluster of low pressure off somewhere off our coast. That's really all I've been looking for, and that has not been taken off the table yet.
And I think, everything you've been looking at shows you the work that goes into forecasting. You know, you put out a forecast, you put out a snow map, there are hours and hours and hours of work that go into, you know, putting out that snow map, putting out storm impacts, and what the flooding will be, how much snow will be, how much wind there will be. I mean, it's a full-time job to constantly watch these trends and to get a forecast by the time the storm arrives.
It is, and I'll tell you, with the Miller A coming in from the south like that, this area almost has to experience rain in order to experience snow. You have to deal with that easterly fetch, you know, from the front, that part that floods brings the warm air off the ocean, because even at our coldest point, which is right around now, we're at like 38, 39 degrees, 7 or 8 degrees above freezing. It's not a lot. It's not like it's December, it's 25 degrees. So we're going to probably get burned if this storm hits. We'll be burned by that initial easterly component, and that's when the flooding. But as soon as that wind rocks to north-northeast, rock counterclockwise, as soon as you get to north-northeast, that's when you can look for the changeover.
All right, so your early inkling where the best snow is going to be, if there are going to be best snows next weekend, is it too soon, which is obviously a valid answer, it's something I will give, or like you would favor inland more than the coast in this setup, because you also use the phrase thread the needle, which I kind of like. Things have to come together perfectly for this to be a snow event.
We have a short wave. We have a short wave coming in off the northern West Pacific, North America, right? So that's going to be coming down in from Canada with the trough. And then we have our Miller A surface low coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. So we have two areas of energy that if they combine in the right spot, we're going to get nailed. If they drift apart, maybe the southern stream races ahead before the northern stream, then you're dealing with broken precipitation, possibly rain or snow because it's marginal temperature. This storm, in order to get cold enough at the surface, it's going to have to make its own cold. You need a very strong low, 980 or less, so that you can get the adiabatic cooling process involved and pressure expansion. So it brings that colder air aloft down. So there's a lot relying on this. There's a lot that has to go right, and that's sort of what I'm going to thread the needle.
Now, how far in advance do you think that you can tell which way it is?
Which way it's going to go? I would
There's
say
two options.
Yeah, so I say, when does certainty increase?
there's a point when this energy comes over land from the west coast of North America. Once it gets over land, it's over much more abundance of weather sensors compared to when it was over the Pacific Ocean. So once that energy moves in, which is typically 36 hours before it gets to us, so you're talking, you know, like probably Thursday night, this energy will be properly sampled over land, and these guys will kind of snap to a conclusive idea of where the biggest snow swap is going to be. So, I mean, it's just rolling the dice until that point. From now until that point, all you can do is say, somewhere between Delmarva and the Gulf of Maine is going to get nailed.
Now, your trademark phrase, it's become, it's on your sweatshirt, kaboom. All right, talk a little bit about that. If you remember the first time you used it, and what it takes to warrant a kaboom. Like, is there a threshold? Obviously, it's not like a winter storm warning. You know, it's your own personal phrase, which is very, very popular. And it's not a phrase you use loosely. I mean, it's only for certain storms. So, when did it come into being, and what's the criteria?
All right, so we're talking winter 2013-14, the polar vortex outbreak in early January. You remember that one? We had several systems. There was so much cold air locked into our region. Every model was just showing, blizzard after blizzard after blizzard. So I just started posting these models, tag names. The Canadian kabooms, the GFS kabooms, people just started all crazy with it. So, what it's evolved into now is sort of a storm that dumps 12 inches or greater in any part of New Jersey, really. So, sometimes it might be a extreme North Jersey event, north of like New York, say North Jersey.
So 12 is the criteria.
12 is the criteria for 12. And 24 is a good We've only seen that once, and that was January 2016.
And there's not different criteria, although there could be for North and South Jersey. It is unofficial.
Plus 12 inches no matter where.
Now, when you first started Weather NJ, did you think that it would take off this far and that you'd have this many subscribers and followers?
No, not at all.
What was the initial name?
Severe NJ Weather.
Severe NJ Weather.
Yeah,
So then it became Weather NJ.
So, as a kid, I talked a bit before about having like Jim Santori as a role model. I got to the point in my 20s, which starting 2000, right? I discovered weather models. Spent about a decade just analyzing them, seeing what actually verified versus what was predicted. So after about 9 years on my personal page, I called the December 2009 storm. 2 days before, everybody was saying out to sea, and I said, no, this thing's coming in. 18 inches of snow on the ground later, everyone was like, you should start your own page. I invited everybody I knew on my friends list, so I got like 100 or 200 friends immediately. A couple storms in, I went to a couple thousand. Hurricane Irene hit in August 2011, and I went from a couple thousand up to like 7,000. So that was like, oh, this is getting big now. Sandy hit, and the European model was on top of Sandy from day one. Just ran with the forecast pretty much as far as information, safety awareness, information, and somehow I went over 100,000 with that. And then the polar vortex winter of 13-14 happened. Took me up to about 200,000, and it's just been like slow.
Lately, it's been quiet though, right? There's been no big ticket storms.
There's been
no. But it just knock on wood. It's something. But meteorologists always and weather forecasters. We always love the big ones just because they're challenging to forecast. We don't wish death and destruction anyway. We don't want storm surge and hurricanes and flooding, but we also do want, if one comes, to give proper warning and to save lives. I always say the weather people are here for two reasons: to make fun of when we mess up, and get the weather on, and to save lives. And obviously, it's a second home football.
Yes, yes. There's so much emotion involved. What I find on social media is people who love or hate any type of weather condition, whether it's hot, humid weather, a blizzard, a nor'easter. There's so much passion in love and hate. And you know, when you have a snowstorm approaching that could possibly cancel school, it's New Jersey. There's so many students and teachers in this state. It's just such a large percentage of people who care about whether or not they're going to go into work or not. There's so many of those people that it drives most of the traffic on my site.
Now, if you are watching live, you can always comment or ask questions. I will run through a few now. Kristen Kaiser says, "Hi, Dan and Palma," and also rest in peace to Kobe and his soul.
Yeah, we shocked at that today.
That's bad. That's the worst news I've seen in a long time.
Liz Toller did a little wave. Not many questions. I'm seeing a lot of hello.
I think it's just people absorbing. All right, there's uncertainty, but there's something to watch for next weekend. That's kind of the message out of the show, as far as, you know, we're going to be watching all week, watching the trends.
I'd like to see the signals stay on the table until about Tuesday or Wednesday, and then at that point we can start considering the surface output, things like precipitation type, precipitation amount, wind speed, direction, things like that. You start ironing out Wednesday into the weekend. But from now until then, yeah, just let me see the signals stay on the table.
And it's a big weekend. It's Super Bowl weekend. It's Groundhog Day weekend. You know, so we'll keep an eye on it. Now, we're not going to have a show being Super Bowl Sunday next Sunday. I think people are probably watching the Super Bowl with Tidal Flooding Talk. Just a guess. We'll be back the following weekend. And we've got some great guests lined up, including Tom Heist from Tom Heist Insurance, Joe McKenna from the National Weather Service. I'm not sure how much you deal with the National Weather Service, if you relay information to them. I know they follow you as well. But
yes.
So he's going to be a guest. And then we also got Jim Eberwine. We got some drone conversations coming in March. And Joe Martucci from the press coming back from the AMS conference in Boston is going to relay some of what he did with his presentations there.
Now, I know you have weathernj.com, right? Are there any other apps or Twitter? Or,
how can people follow you?
Sure. So on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, on those three, it's at myweathernj. There's the website, and then there is the mobile application.
Right, I do have
you can find on Apple or Android. That's great. It sort of just funnels everything I do into the app space, basically. You'll get a push notification when I read an article. It's probably the easiest way to weather NJ. You know.
Okay. How do you get a Kaboom sweatshirt?
I do have a store open. If you go to weathernj.com and click on the shop link, it'll take you to a place you can get these. There's t-shirts and some baby onesies too.
See, we got to get a Tidal Flooding themed shirt going in a store, and that's something we should do.
I'll have to think about that. Well, actually, as a thank you for being our guest tonight, you do get a t-shirt, but it's from the Irish pub, so
nice.
proof that you were here.
All right, and Jonathan Carr from Weather and Jay, our guest on this Sunday. Thanks so much for coming down, making the drive from Manahawkin.
You got it.
And of course, you can follow him throughout the week for information on the upcoming storm. And very quickly, last question, a little more of an active February for as quiet as December and January. Have you looked any further?
It looks that way. The polar vortex, stratospheric vortex, looks to elongate a little bit in the first 10 days of February. Not a total split, not a total displacement, but elongated in a manner that's favorable for the tropospheric vortex to possibly send some cold down our way.
All right, so cold maybe means more storms. We'll see.
It can mean more storms. It can mean suppressed and
just
dry.
Cold and dry.
So
right.
We need the subtropical jet to get involved and meet that cold, and then we'll be talking.
Okay, I'll be doing a quick live stream from home on Super Bowl Sunday. Kenzie may make an appearance in that. She's always pretty popular, and then we'll see you the following weekend here. Have a great week, guys, and thanks for coming, JC.
You got it.
See you next week.
Good night.